Forgot to take that off.
I will assure you that I'm not Steve Lorenz. He's a great guy, or Bryce Merritt. But I am Josh Newkirk, along with Sam Webb here at day 3 of the Big Ten Media Days. Of course, we cover Michigan, and that's what we are focused on today. And Sam, there's a lot to digest.
Yeah.
We're just going to do a deep dive in right now. Sherrone Moore. We got, the 15 minutes there to start the day, and then they gave us another 45 minutes of Sherrone there at the end. I think there's a lot of topics that the Michigan fans want to hear about. I think, number one, we'll just start with the quarterback. He said, first and foremost, this is an open competition. He's been adamant about that since Michigan signed Bryce Underwood. Of course, they have Mikey Keene coming in. They have Jaden. There's guys on this roster, but again, he's not named a number one guy right now. So what's your take there?
Yeah, my take is that he wants to be sure that he's consistent with what with how he follows through with his words to all the quarterbacks, but especially to Bryce. He told them during his recruitment that I'm not going to give you anything and not going to change that once they get into fall camp. I think that you got to admire how all the players have been, I think, impressed with this young kid. You got to admire that he hasn't let the star, all the talk about how good he is go to his head. That has not followed him through the door. And, Sherrone hasn't let how impressive he's been, kind of change what he said to him in recruiting. This is going to be a competition. Everything you did in the spring is great. But now fall camp is kind of a new blank slate because now Mikey Keene is going to be there. And it kind of changes the dynamics of the competition. Now let's see how it goes. And if you win it again, you'll win the job. I happen to think that's how it's going to go, but you still got to do it on the football field.
Yeah, Sherrone alluded to the fact that not only has he matured physically, 230 pounds, now 15 pounds of muscle this offseason. And then also, you got to look at the fact that he's earning the respect of the players. Derrick Moore spoke to this. He said that, hey, he's already earned the respect of his defensive players. Guys have noticed his work ethic. He's a team guy. He's not coming in here, me, like you've already sort of noted. He's come in and earned the respect of his players. And then you also mentioned a fun side story. They had a basketball game at the local park. And he's like, hey, whoa. Our quarterback's not playing. And they're aware of how valuable he is to this roster, how valuable he is to this team. And the other guys have taken notice of what he's been taking a selfless approach to being a good teammate.
Well, what you learn watching leadership emerge, especially leadership when it's already been established and you got a young guy stepping onto a winning organization, is those older established guys got to empower you to lead. You can't just walk in the door and start demanding and start commanding. They gotta let you lead them to a certain extent. You gotta earn the right to lead them. And I think he's come in the door the right way, impressing them with his work ethic, impressing them with not being a me guy, impressing them with, hey, look, I grind and I work harder than everyone else. And they see him doing those things, that becomes a guy, even as a young dude, that they are willing to follow. So again, doing all the things that you need to do as a young player to earn the right to lead these guys. And then the other thing that stuck out to me was, I think it might've been you, someone brought it up. So he's 230 pounds, which is great. You want him to build his body up because Josh, this watching Bryce all the time, the dude can run the football. And that's going to be a part of when I think he's going to win the position. And part of protecting him is going to be on, of course, it's going to be on this offensive line. It's going to be on this running game. And part of it is going to be on him and his legs. And so how much do you run him? You got to protect him. And that means building up his body too.
That's part of the dynamic that he brings to the table. Obviously, we didn't really see that in the spring game. It's a little more about two-hand touch with the quarterbacks. They don't want him running the ball too much. Let's stick to the offensive side of the ball. I think we talked about this before. We were game planning what we were going to talk about. Offensive line is a big topic when it comes to this Michigan football team. Last year, of course, they had their ups and downs struggles. Came through strong there at the end with some of the younger guys coming up, stepping up. This year, Sherrone mentioned the depth that they got the next man up mentality. They got guys pushing each other already. Last year was about 6 or 7 guys maybe pushing each other to get playing time. He says this year you're looking at a true 2 deep. You got about 10 guys pushing. He mentioned some of the true freshmen that are pushing for playing time. You're going to have a lot more competition, which is also going to breed success on the field, in my opinion, when you got guys that are competing that well.
Yeah, when it was evident, I mean, think about the Indiana game. Indiana, they came in with all those twists and stunts, and they must have ran 30 or 40 of them in the game. You don't see teams do that. Michigan couldn't block it.
Right.
And then they couldn't bring anybody in who could block it, right? And so that kind of speaks to Sherrone's point. Like, we had like 6 or 7 guys. Now he's looking at it heading into fall camp. He said, we got 10 guys we feel like can play. So when you feel like you have someone that can push you, everyone gets better. And then as coaches, you feel like, okay, all else first, you got some options too. But before you even get to that point, you feel like competition is going to allow the best guy to rise to the top. Before you even get to the point of needing to figure out what options are, you're going to find the best option coming out of camp. And I think the most intriguing spot is that left tackle spot. That's what all the talk is about. Evan Link is the returning guy. Sherrone talked about the improvement that he saw over the course of his redshirt freshman year, but you have some young athletic guys that are really going to push him in this fall camp that, I don't think it's a shoo-in. I don't think it's a lock that he's going to be the guy.
We got to staying on the offense. Sherrone really made it a point to talk about the development of the wide receiver group. I mean, obviously a key transfer, right? We got a guy coming in here and just that's going to maybe bring something to the table that Michigan hasn't had, at least especially last season, right? And they're going to have some depth there in that group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're talking about Donovan McCulley, and when you hear him say names over and over again, like at left tackle, he was talking about Blake Frazier is 100% now. He's 100% now. He's been saying that over and over again. Or Andrew Babalola. Everyone knows how athletic he is. He's one of the best athletes we've seen come through the doors at Michigan. But he keeps talking about how smart he is, how unbelievably smart he is. Well, with Donovan McCulley moving over to receiver, he keeps comparing him to Nico Collins.
That's a hell of a comparison.
Yeah. Every time he talks about McCulley, the name Nico comes up. And today he was like, hey, we are really expecting Nico to break out in that 2020 year because of all these big plays he was making in practice. And obviously it didn't happen because he didn't play in the COVID season. But he said, we saw we were seeing those kind of flashes in practice from McCulley. He was showing that us, at least in practice, that he could be that big play guy on the outside. And, we're looking for that to translate first to fall camp and then to the season.
He didn't name a number one guy for running backs because he believes he has 2 number 1 guys at running backs. You got Jordan Marshall and you got Haynes. What are your thoughts on that? Obviously, they got a dynamic duo. It seems like you had one last year, but this year you got another thunder and lightning type situation.
Yeah, I hate to say it's a given. I hate to say that they're a given. I hate to say that they're a lock, but I just feel like you know what you're going to get with those guys. Jordan Marshall shows you in that Bama game that he's ready for prime time. And, Justice Haynes coming in the door, he brings you home run hitting speed. He gives you a thumper, a pounder. And the fact that he was willing to come to Michigan when you got a big time back from the Midway, from Ohio, Gatorade Player of the Year, that he's the heir apparent and you're willing to come anyway. Says something about both guys. I mean, Tony Alford went to Jordan Marshall before he went to the portal for Justice Haynes and said, how you feel about us going to get a guy? And Jordan Marshall said, go get the best guy.
Yeah.
Go get the number 1 guy. That's what I want you to get.
Right.
So it says something about both of those guys. That's why I'm kind of looking at that, saying they're going to be all right. They're going to be more than all right at that. It just gets back to that offensive line and how that all plays out. If the offensive line goes, so goes not just the offense. I think so goes the team.
Yeah, it's a straw that stirs the drink, in my opinion. moving over to the defensive side of the ball. All right, let's start with up front. I mean, obviously, this is we can even start on the edge with Derrick Moore. You know, able to talk to him today. His ability. He's saying he's going to show you his full arsenal this year. He didn't really show you everything. It's the reason he came back. But you're looking at they just reload at that DN position, and then you got the depth there. They got the depth, and they reload.
You know, the thing about Debo that's going to be interesting to see, because you see these flashes where he just looks like he is going to physically dominate opponents, like against Bama. And so the difference between good and great is, can you do it every game? Yeah. Right. And so that's the challenge for Debo is, can he do it every game? Because he has that potential. Because man, today he was talking about, the thing that sticks out to me wasn't him talking about the team and talking about the season ahead. It was him talking about Ohio State. And I don't think he was saying it in a challenge Ohio State kind of way, but it was a comfortable in his own skin kind of way, like confident kind of way, a presence kind of way. I'm not playing the background anymore. I'm not saying he was ever bashful, but he was quiet. I'm not quiet anymore. They were talking about Ohio State's national championship. He was like, yeah, congratulations to him. But is it really a national championship if you didn't beat us? Right? You know, not really a national championship.
It's going to be a narrative we're going to hear all season. So, yeah.
You didn't beat us. And then he's like, yeah, so you got to congratulate them. I didn't really root for them, but they got it. You got to give them credit. But we know they wouldn't have even been in the playoff if it hadn't gotten expanded, right? We know that, right? So again, I don't even think he was taking shots, even though they were shots. I don't think that was the intent. I think he was just a dude he's arrived.
Right.
Like, you see a guy who is really, really comfortable with where he is, and now you're looking for that to manifest on the field, like where he is just giving it to opponents every single game.
Well, I mean, to speak to that, he mentioned that coming in to Ann Arbor, getting a little impatient because you're a freshman, you're a five-star guy, you're wanting to play right away. But, you know, obviously there were some stud players here. Mm-hmm. You know, you had Hutch. But then to mature to where he is now, where he's like realized that, hey, it's a process, and now this is his time. Mm-hmm. And and you saw it there at the end of the season last year, but he knows this is his time. This is his time to shine. To be cliche about it, he's well aware of the situation. So you're actually to see the maturation is good to see. You know, staying on that defensive front though, you got to at least talk about the middle, and they're just they obviously you had the 2 first rounders last year, but they don't expect too much of a drop off with the depth that they've been able to add.
So, you know, listen, I guess I can't toe the company line on that. I can't listen, and I'm not. That's not me disparaging anyone.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that those guys aren't good. But I mean, these are the.
I mean, they're never the odds of having 2 first-round D tackles like that ever again are low.
I mean, these are the best dudes we've ever seen at the position.
Yeah.
2 guys in the first round, 1 guy in the top 5. So I think these guys are going to be good. I think the difference is they're deeper up front.
Yeah.
I don't, do I think that they're going to be able to equal the production, the havoc that we saw? So if havoc were a stat, right? Because havoc isn't always a sack.
Right.
Havoc isn't always a tackle for loss.
Yeah.
You know, havoc is what you saw Mason and KG just destroying the interior of the defense. Like, even when they didn't make the play, they were just destroying it. Do I think that havoc will be, reaped as much as last year? No. But you got 6 guys inside. That's what Sherrone said. You got 6 guys inside. And he said, Etta is up to 320 pounds. And so that's what I see different. You got 6 dudes inside who are all like 310, 315,
you got the depth.
320 bills across. So you're going to wear opponents down by attrition.
Yeah.
By rolling in 6 300-pounders that they just won't be able to move.
Yeah.
So that to me will be the difference. I guess I can't roll with they're going to be
I don't think anybody's
better than last year, but I think it'll be different in that they're going to be stout, they're going to be deep, And I think the havoc is going to come from those guys on the outside.
So moving to the middle of the defense. Obviously you got your big hitters coming back, the big seniors coming back. But I think the big question I think Sherrone sort of hit on is this the most depth that they've had at this linebacker position? You might be rolling six guys now. They haven't seen this type of depth here.
Yes.
He mentioned the national championship year, but you might even have a little bit more than that season.
Yeah. So now, is this the spot where they're going to be better? Yeah. I think they're going to be better. I think this is going to be the best linebacking group that they've had in recent memory.
Right.
Including the national championship run.
It's crazy.
Ernest Hausmann, I thought, turned a corner last year. His cerebral play. You hear the players even talking about it. Like the way he's diagnosing plays. He always had the physical ability, run and change of direction. He can come up in the box and thump you as well. And we know Jayshon Barham, he might be the best athlete on the team. But now you roll back and Jimmy Rolder was healthy all spring for the first time.
Cole Sullivan's the name.
And Cole
name we hear consistent.
Yeah, and Cole is one of the best athletes on the team. And now you bring Troy Bowles into the fold. And oh, by the way, Nate-Usu Boateng is a young freshman who comes in, who's a phenomenal athlete as well. Like you are rolling in super deep at the linebacker position with big time athleticism that can come at you in waves. So yeah, linebacking core, about midway through the season, the Indiana game, they turned the corner and they haven't looked back, and I think their arrow's going to keep pointing up.
All right. So last but not least, obviously we got to look at the back end, right? I think the one key position that Sherrone said, hey, that's a good question, is what are they doing there at that nickelback position? Yeah. I mean, obviously that's a big question mark. They sort of got their guys sort of figured out on the outside, it sounds like. Yeah. But the nickelback, that's going to be a key one. They brought Makari Page in there at the end of the season. It worked out tremendously.
It did.
What are they going to do this time around? That's going to be we might not have that answer right now, but that's going to be the key question.
Well, you know what I think last year taught them is, first, you cross-train guys, because you never know where you're going to need guys over the course of the season. Because look at what Zeke Berry, he was all over the place, and then he wound up playing corner and was lights out. And then you move Makari Page, to your point, up at the end of the season, he might have made the play of the game against Ohio State with the hit he laid on Will Howard, right? So play those guys all over the place, because even if they don't start there, they might finish there. That's number one. Number two, man, TJ Metcalf. I mean, I can't remember how deep Sherrone got into talking about him here, but when I had the one-on-one with him, he said he's going to be one of the best players in the Big Ten.
Wow, that's
coming in the door. Coming in the door. So is he your nickel? Right now, he'd be my bet.
Right. I'll take your word for it.
he'd be my bet, but you're trying different guys there. He said, Jair Hill is getting some looks at nickel. Like you're giving a bunch of different guys some looks at nickel. And then when you get the fortune of eventually getting Rob Moore back, it just adds a layer of versatility across the board that you've played all of these different guys all across the back end. To me, the question on the back end is, how deep are they going to be at corner? And I was, if you're a Michigan fan, you got to be excited to hear him talk about Shamari Earls.
Yeah, to hit on that, obviously the last time they had a big, impactful freshman cornerback, that guy just got drafted by the Arizona Cardinals. So, I mean, the fact is that Shamari Earls, he's a guy that come in here, length, 6'3", right? 6'2", 6'3". Yeah. To have that type of length and be an impactful player, be part of that rotation, that's exciting here.
Yeah, he's long, he's fast, he's physical. If nothing else is going to be able to turn and run with guys, how quickly on the mental side of things does he pick things up? That's the thing that was so phenomenal about Will. Will, his IQ, how fast he thought the game was just through the roof, right? How fast will Shamari pick that part of it up? Now, physically, Shamari is one of the best freshman corners we've seen come through the door physically. So can you add the mental part to it? But you got to be pleased to hear Sherrone talk about his maturation so far as an early enrollee, because that's the biggest question mark on the defense right now is after Zeke, after Should, now what? You're looking for is it going to be Shamari Earls, right? Is it going to be, is it going to be JoJo? I mean, maybe Josiah Edmond, maybe he comes up, maybe he steps up and he starts to emerge, we'll see. They went to the portal and got some help there. So you got some options, but you're waiting to see if those options emerge as actual answers on the football field. Camp is going to help determine that.
All right, so we hit on the position groups, all that. Any other highlights you want to note as before we wrap up?
Yeah, just to hear those guys talk about Ohio State, but not necessarily react and take bait. But you could tell they heard the guarantee. Like it didn't. They aren't using it as bulletin board material, but it's like, the last 4 years that just didn't mean anything. Okay, that's kind of how they responded to it. So it just kind of adds the layer of disrespect is just a reminder that, okay, we still haven't proven the point. Okay. That's kind of how I took their response.
Well, hey, it's going to be we still got plenty of time till late November, but that's going to wrap up all our coverage from here in Las Vegas, of all places. Who would have guessed, Sam? We have said this 5 years ago, but here we are. So that's going to wrap up our coverage for the MichiganInsider.com.